Okay, so next we'll go ahead and build the blade. Well, again, we want to get everything built so we can get painted. So what you're going to do is you're going to use two M5 rods and then 4 M5 lock nuts, or just regular nuts. It doesn't really matter what nuts you have. If you're going to use no lock nuts, just make sure you use some of that Loctite, some of this good stuff here. So you're going to cut your rod, or your M5 rod, to 310 millimeters, 2 of them, and then you'll combine those, and then put your lock nuts on, and then tighten them down as much as you can, and you shouldn't be able to move any of these pieces. And then once you get that done, we can go ahead and install our sides here. And there's going to be 2 different ones. One will be for passenger side, and the other one will be for the other side. Not too sure what that line is doing there, but clean it up a little bit. I think this can be seen from the inside of the blade, and that should be good right there. Okay, so you're gonna have all these screws. That's gonna be towards the outside. So this will be our passenger side. And then we're gonna go ahead and grab some M2x10 self-tappers. And we'll get this one started. Just protruding, just a wee bit. And then we'll get it lined up. Oops. I'm gonna move the camera. This overhead one isn't all that great. Okay. Get it lined up. And then we're just gonna get this one, just snug it and then back it off just a little bit so it can move. So we want to line up these other holes. So I'll line up this one here. And once you know you lined up, you can go ahead and tighten her down. All right, and then we'll go back up to this one. Tighten this down. Go ahead and start the rest of our screws in here. I'll clean this up here. All right, that's it for that one side. So I'll go ahead and get this side off off camera. But before you get your metal cut here, you can cut it, but before you install it, you want to make sure you paint all this, because we're gonna put some stainless steel, little 1-inch strips. We'll do 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and 5, and then I'll have templates for you guys to put the metal strips into, and for length, and then for the holes as well. So get your blade built and then set that aside, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the cab portion. That's the only other thing that we have to do before painting. Actually, we'll get to these arms, and I'll get to that here in a minute after I get this mounted on here and then kind of clean up a bit. Okay, so we got both of these sides done. Let's go ahead and get our actuator mounts installed. You're going to use some. You're going to use M3 by I believe 12 millimeter countersunk / flathead. And for those of you who don't know what those are, it's going to be this guy. And they sit flat. And the reason why we're using those for this is the hole, the mounting hole for these are actually 4 millimeter. But the head of these countersunk screws are 5.5, so when they go in, they actually self-center into that hole. I guess is the better way to put it. So when you go to tighten these down, you want to tighten them down snugly, and then you just want to make sure that they still turn. And that's going to be allow us to do the blade tilt. Yeah, so I tighten them until there's just some resistance. They'll get a little bit more, they'll get looser the more you use it and break it in, I guess is the best way to say it. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab your heat insert. And let me just show you guys how I do mine. We'll head over to the solder station over here. And then what I'll do is I'll take my nutsert, and then let me see if I could show you guys with this. So what I'll end up doing, let me grab these guys. So for this one in here, you're going to use this M3 by 10. Let me just make sure. Yeah, so it's going to be this one right here, M3 by 10 by 5. And then what I usually do is I'll grab my tweezers, and then I'll set it down right over the hole, and then I'll grab the solder gun or the soldering iron, and then because I'm doing it with one hand, so you have it sitting there, imagine, and then you would place your soldering tip on top, and then just sit there until it starts to go in. And then what you're gonna do is, again, you'll be holding it. Come on. You'll be holding it with your tweezers, and then when it gets to maybe, I don't know, a millimeter before it gets flush, so a millimeter sticking out, you'll pull the soldering iron off, and then you're gonna go ahead and grab any of these fine thread M3 screws, it doesn't matter what it is, and then just twist it in a little bit, maybe a couple threads, right? And then you're just going to make sure that it's straight. So what I'll usually do is I'll just look at it dead center, and then I'll make sure, I'll just try and eyeball that and see if that's centered, and that looks really, really good there. And then what you want to do is push down a little bit too. You want it to be flush. So if you leave it a millimeter high, just make sure that when you pull that soldering tip off, maybe use your tweezers and push it down just a little bit. And then again, put your screw in there and just make sure that you are straight up and down. Oop. So you're gonna do that to this blade here, to the one side. And then you're gonna come over when you do all those. I try to do it all at once. Then you'll come over and you'll do the same thing up here and down here. So these ones actually use these ones used the M3 by 8 by 5 millimeter nutserts. I think that's what they're called. Threaded insert, that's what they're called. And I bought this kit off of Amazon. Awesome kit. So yeah, you do the same thing there and here, and then that's going to be the only heated inserts that you're going to be using. These are going to be for your blade actuator mount, and then these are going to be this is going to be for the this guy. This is going to be your pan hard and all that hardware. So once you get the blade done, go ahead and set that aside. Move it over here, and then what we're going to do is we're going to get our blade arms done. So you want your blade arm, you want to build it to where it looks. So you want to build your blade arm, put your blade top or blade arm top, and then you're going to put your blade handle mount, install that on, and then go ahead and install your blade cylinder cover or guard. And I used M2 by 8 for this this rail here, So this piece here. So some M2x8s. And then when you're getting this on, you want to make sure that this goes this way. So towards this eye here. Oh, let me grab my 8mm. And then what I'll do, get it just a little where it's almost snug. You can see a little gap there. And then I'll get this back one done. And we'll tighten that one all the way down. Come back up here, tighten that. We'll grab another one and get it right in the center here. All right. And we'll grab our details here. And we're gonna get our guard on. So our guard actually uses M2x6. So now these are structural, they're just details. Get it started on one end. Set it in there. Alright, and then just start the thread in one part. Grab another screw. Excuse me. And then tighten it down. Tighten it down. Alright, so there's that guard. So let's go ahead and get our guide on. And then with this, you just want to make sure. So we have this this guy to kind of go off of because I've already done it. But when you're installing this, you want to make sure that this is opposite. So you're actually going to flip this over, and that point, so that second head of second screw, as long as it's going this way towards the back of this pivot, you're looking pretty good. So then we're going to grab some of our M2x6s. All right, we'll go ahead and get that one started. Back it off just a little bit so it can wobble or teeter. And then we'll go ahead and tighten that one. And get one more. Excuse me. All right, so excuse me. Normally you'd have your grab bars up here. Where'd those go? Oh, so I have them over here, sitting aside with all the parts that are gonna be black. The reason why I don't mount this just yet is I want this to be black and I want this to be yellow. So we're gonna go ahead and set these aside as well. Set this one aside, and then let's get our blade actuators, or excuse me, our blade cylinders. You'll notice one is stuck. It's stiff. It's glued together. So this is actually three parts. You're gonna have this one part, which is gonna be your cylinder shaft, or cylinder shaft, and then you got this guy right here as well. This is your cylinder end, okay? And then this is gonna be one piece. So the reason why I broke it up into parts is I wanted it to be printed with this detail. So what you're gonna do when you go to glue this together, this is the same thing. This is three parts. It's just this this doesn't get glued, it kind of stays in here. This one, I lied, it's actually only two parts. You get this top part, the cylinder end, and then the main cylinder. So when you do that, just you're gonna glue these together. When you glue it together, you wanna make sure that they are in line. So this has to be the same in the same orientation. So these holes will be in line just like that. Okay, and then this one, when you print this, there's going to be three parts. You're going to have this part, the cylinder end, or the cap, and then the cylinder. And then what you do is doesn't matter which way this goes, you're just going to line up these corners here. Go ahead and glue that. And what I did is I used very little bit of glue. This is not structural. This is just cosmetic. So I used maybe a couple dots, just tiny dots. And then I actually used this as my alignment. I put this inside and then put that on and then kind of spun it to where I wanted it. And then I pulled this back out and then just made sure the glue dried. And then I had no issues with this. And these are going to be your blade cylinders. So these are going to be yellow, except for this shaft here and this shaft. So we'll go ahead and set these aside. And we already built our ripper yesterday. So you'll go ahead and set that aside as well. And then with your ripper, what you're going to do is you're going to take your upper links and you're going to go ahead and get your bearings in. Now these are 4mm by 8mm by 3mm. Okay, so that's going to be these guys. And then just go ahead and start pressing those in. If you're having a hard time getting it on there, go ahead and put it on your desk and just push. And that should do it. And we'll go ahead and just push down on all of it. Bada bing, bada boom. So we got both of those done. So we're going to set these aside as well with the ripper. And then again, you're going to glue your two ripper halves or ripper tooth halves together. Set that aside. Take your main ripper. Go ahead and add your 5mm bearings. These are going to be 5mm by 10mm by 4mm. And then I don't have them on here, but on here, these are going to be the same bearings. You're going to have two bearings, one on each side. Let me just double check on that and make sure that it's not the three. Okay, so yeah, so you'll have two bearings, one right here and then one right here. You're going to go ahead and install, and then go ahead and set that aside as well. This is going to be yellow, just like everything else, or mainly everything else. So once you get that, we'll go ahead and move on to start to build the cab. Now, just to show you guys, let me back up the camera. Just to show you guys, I printed these panels two different ways. Okay, so and the reason being is you can see from the back here. Oop, there's one of our window panels. So you can see how it's straight here, and then it goes up into kind of a chamfer there, or an angle. And I wanted to maintain the look of the real machine. And the real machine actually goes, it does taper back up. So what I did is I tested the print. This one looks really clean, but I actually printed it on this side here. And then you could see, hopefully you can see, this edge here actually didn't come out that clean. You could see some stragglers, some danglers, and things like that, and you can kind of see it there. Now, this side I printed where the face laid here, or excuse me, this face laid on the plate, and you can see it came out relatively clean. Now this part came out really rough because this needed support. Fortunately, you will never see this. This actually sits inside of here. So when the cab goes together, it actually sits just like that. So you'll never see that. So don't worry about how that looks. Just make sure that you get most of that support off and it's relatively flat. So when all the plates that I put in there, the my plates, I'll have everything oriented the way that we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'll do this off camera. I got to take this off because I need to install the doors, and then we'll go ahead and build this. But we'll get back to that. Just give me a few minutes and then I'll be right back. Okay guys, so what we're gonna do here is you're gonna go ahead and take your two side panels and then screw those in using some M2 by 6s. Okay, that's gonna be for these two here, and then down here you can use some M2 by 8s. All right, and then you're gonna take your door, both door panels, and you're gonna use the M2 by 8 to screw in down here. And then you'll take your front panel, You can wait on the front panel until you start to get the bottom and stuff in. Only reason why I have it kind of taken apart right now is we're going to do the doors. So this is what it's going to look like, and you'll notice everything's relatively flimsy right now. Don't worry about that. So what we did with these doors is I'm not going to install these just yet because, again, we're going to paint everything. So the doors, now, unfortunately, the doors are going to be glued. I didn't want to glue them, but I couldn't think of any other way to make it look clean. I don't really want to use screws. Looking at it, it's thick enough. I don't know. You guys let me know if you guys want. If you guys don't mind screws on this door, I'll add these parts in, or add those to the files if that's what you guys want. I'm gonna glue mine, and what I'm gonna end up doing is just doing little dots of glue, and I'll probably end up having a little bit of glue on this window. But fortunately, you'll see here, and this plastic, this clear plastic has a film on it, so just to protect it. But you can kind of see these edges here, how they'll be relatively protected in a sense. Not protected, but kind of closed, so where we'll never see that. So in theory, we shouldn't see any of that fogging. I'll let you guys know. We'll see how it plays out when we build this. But what I'm gonna end up doing is I don't want to glue any of this just yet, or combine these, because I want to paint all this. So what I'm gonna do is leave the cab just like it is. We're gonna leave these parts just like it is, and then we'll take this, and then we're gonna go ahead and paint all these as they are, and then we'll go ahead and start to build them. So as of right now, we're looking pretty good as far as everything's together. Everything's ready for paint. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and wait until it's almost okay. It's 63 degrees here, so hopefully I can get some painting done. Unfortunately, I have to do it outside, so we'll get everything that we want black, we'll get that together. Everything that we want yellow, we'll get that together. We'll go ahead and start masking some things off. I want to mask off some of these motors, and then these threaded inserts, I want to get those taped off, get this taped off, and then a few other things, like I want to make sure that the bearings aren't going to get any paint in there. The rollers those aren't going to get painted. None of these rollers are going to get painted. Well, these might end up getting painted, and the reason being is I want these pin locks to be painted as well. So we'll get everything lined up and ready to go, and we'll go ahead and start painting.